Hello and welcome back to the Main Stand Podcast, Season 3. Mitchell, Josh, Pat here. We are recording while the U.S.-Germany game is going on. We have that just behind the camera here. Topic of today's episode, we really kind of want to touch on the U.S. men's national team. A lot has happened since the World Cup. And obviously we don't have club football to talk about this week, boys. So let's get right into it. Right now, Germany just scored their third goal against the U.S. Thoughts on the team so far into this game?
So I was pretty okay with the way we were playing legitimately, probably for the first 50 minutes. I thought we kept up with Germany pretty well in the first half. A brilliant go-ahead goal by Pulisic. We looked really dangerous on the counter. We looked all right from set pieces. I think the minute Gundogan scored, the team kind of fell apart. The United States did anyway. And then the second half really has been, so far, all Germany, and not much has really felt like it's changed. I think that it just kind of shows how far we are from these top teams at the international level. We have a lot of pretty talented guys, but at the end of the day, it really just takes like a moment of brilliance for us to get by these teams, where Germany, two of Germany's 3 goals were just capitalizing on mistakes that the U.S. was making. The Gundogan goal was a pretty well-worked goal, but the second and third goal from Germany were really just, U.S. mistakes, poor tackles. Outside of that, I think we've been well. I do just kind of want to highlight the fact that I think Weston McKennie was awful. Through the 68th, and we're in the 68th minute at time of recording. But I thought Weston McKennie played extremely poorly. And I just overall, I think there's some issues with the team before we can really start calling ourselves, good enough to compete with the likes of Germany. Thoughts,
I agree. And Mitch said at the beginning of the game it was kind of a test match.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good way to put it. Going against, they are one of the top teams in the world, but a top team that's also struggling at the moment. And even though they have new manager bounce a little bit, it should be a game where the U.S. can go and at least maybe think they can grab a point. And I like Pat. I like the way they played in the first half. I think Greg actually set them up quite positively. With the starting 11.
I will give Greg his props there.
It was a positive surprise because we thought they were going to sit back and kind of match how Germany typically comes out, which obviously Nagelsmann has them playing a little bit more forward.
Proactive, it's a really proactive Germany.
Yeah, I think the real hole today and what we're seeing, and I complained after the third goal, just like it feels like we've given up 2 similar goals today of guys kind of coming across the 18. And I think that kind of is just showing how much we miss Tyler Adams, like a true number 6 in there that can kind of stop those runs. And today we've really kind of lacked that because Weston McKennie isn't that guy. Yunus Musa really isn't that guy. So
more 8s. It feels like those guys are. They're more box to box. I think having Adams in there as a calming presence, a sweeper, so to speak, somebody that can really just sit in front of our back 4 or our back 3, depending on how. I think we're back 3 today, but in possession, it looks like a back 3.
It's tough too because when we look at weak spots for the U.S., Adams is an injury-prone guy, and we really don't have a backup 6.
Nope.
And I think a 6 is pretty important with the way we play. To get on the counter, on the front foot. Looks like Germany.
I think we might concede a 4th right here.
We'll see what happens. Musiala cutting in. Oh, they're really close from Sane.
Just wide from Sane there. Okay, back to the episode. Sorry, folks.
First live reaction episode of the Main Stand Podcast.
Maybe we'll do more of these. Anyway, Josh, you were saying true 6.
Yeah, we were just missing a guy like that today, and I think, I don't think this team can have Adams back in it any quicker. Feels like the one pretty key piece we're missing. Obviously, going forward, like you said, it took a moment of magic from Pulisic to score that goal, and it feels like we haven't really... I guess Pulisic had a chance right before that, but aside from those 2 chances, we haven't had a ton of clear-cut, opportunities on goal. And again, this is against a Germany side that's not like they've rattled off 10 wins in a row. They just sacked their manager and lost to Japan 4-1 a couple weeks ago. So it feels a little bit disappointing to especially put in a second half performance like this.
And correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like we're playing around with our food a little bit too much again. We definitely saw that leading up to the World Cup and through the earlier stages of the World Cup game, where it doesn't really seem like we have somebody who's just going out looking for goals. It's like a little bit too unselfish, which kind of came away a little bit when Greg was on the back burner and we had the emergence of Flo into the side. It really felt refreshed and new.
Yeah.
It's just feeling stagnant again, and I don't know if that's me being too critical or if it's all Greg. But from what we've seen against this Germany side, we looked for 20 minutes of the first half like we were the better side.
Yeah.
And probably 10 minutes at the end too. Germany had a little bit in the beginning, but I thought the first half the U.S. definitely won, quote unquote. Even though it went, we went in at the half 1-1.
Yeah.
It was 2-1.
Yeah,
it was 2-1.
Pulisic was onside, even though he wasn't. He was onside.
But no, it's just I don't want us as a national team to, especially with the Copa America on the horizon, fall back into this stagnant play where we don't have people running at goal. Obviously, we had that chance where Flo was just a step ahead, a really nice ball in from Weah, but I don't know. I haven't liked what I've seen from our front three. Our midfield, obviously injury filled, but
Yeah.
Somebody who I have been impressed by today is Scally, playing right back.
He's been class. He's been really, really good.
Feeding balls in over the top, the long crosses, and the pressure he's been putting upfield is refreshing to see. It really is nice having somebody who's predominantly a center back step out and do something like that.
Yeah, it's nice to see Cameron Carter-Vickers come on too. That's a name I think we can all look out for maybe in the future. Is the defensive moves I think for the U.S. are going to be really interesting over the next couple of years. I think one of the weaknesses we have right now is going against elite attackers.
I think fullback in general we have a really weak. We're really, really weak, and I don't think we have a great fullback.
Yeah,
I think we have some decent options,
I agree.
but I think we're really weak to teams that have good wide attackers, and I think this Germany game is really exposing that. There hasn't been one time where Sané hasn't gotten the better of Dest. And then when Musiala and him kind of switch and Musiala goes out wide and Sané comes inverted, I don't think I've really seen much in the way of positive fullback play, just isolating wingers, winning one-on-one duels.
That's what I was going to say, just because I think in today's game, wingers are so important and wingers are so good across the world. And we saw today that Sané basically just went out there and, ate his dinner with Dest in front of him.
I mean, it's been a thing even like interconference wise. We can't contain Alphonso Davies.
Yeah.
Very good comparison.
How would you feel if we had Jedi on the left today and Dest on the right? Hypothetically,
a little better. I think Robinson is pretty good. I'm a Robinson fan. I rate Anthony Robinson pretty highly.
And obviously, the chemistry of playing club football with Ream on a weekly basis, I think, helps the left side of our defensive line a lot. But I don't know. I haven't been big on Dest, and I today certainly isn't helping his case. Out of position a lot, missing tackles, not stepping at the right time. And he is getting dragged around by Leroy Sané, who is one of the best technical dribblers in the world right now.
Well, and it doesn't help that he's now playing in the Netherlands, where he's not going to face that top talent week in, week out. So to come back and play for the U.S. and go against a guy like Leroy Sané, I think it makes that challenge all the more difficult.
Yeah, it's really tough. I would like to move away from the back.
Go for it.
Because I have a topic of conversation that not all U.S. fans probably want to have, but I want to have it. How long do we give Balogun before we start to ask questions? I haven't been overly impressed with him when he's played up top for us. Example, I'm just looking at the stat sheet today from this game against Germany. 1 assist, let's put that in big air quotes, because he laid a ball off to Pulisic, who scored a wonder goal. The goal was all Pulisic, but it's an assist. 11 for 13 with his passes. No shots. No successful dribbles. 1 for 3 on his ground duels. When do we start to question if Balogun is the guy we were sold, or do we question it? Am I out of pocket for making that assumption? I mean, is it not enough time? Thoughts?
I think we give him until the Copa America. Personally, I mean, he's had 2 international breaks. Three.
This is his third.
This is the third. I don't think it's enough time. And
that's fair. And that's really fair.
On the club side of things, he has had a lot of question marks with return to Arsenal and then getting sent out immediately back. So
he hasn't been great for Monaco.
And Monaco's
been fine.
Monaco's just been underwhelming as a whole. So I do think we need to give him some more time, and we haven't had any sort of level of competition yet. There's nothing to play for. Mm-hmm. And obviously with Greg coming back, it's changed a lot. So I think it's just a lot of change in a short amount of time with not enough of a sample size.
Mm-hmm. And I do want to also just state, I do believe in Balogun, and I think he's a super talented player. I just haven't been blown away by his first few appearances in a U.S. shirt.
He has 2 goals so far?
Yeah,
I think.
And I think the forward position is a spot that our generation may have been a little spoiled with.
Yeah.
For the standard of the USA, you hate the guy all you want, but in his prime, Josie Altidore did nothing but score goals for the U.S. For a little bit there. Eddie Johnson was really good for quite a while. The GOAT, Clint Dempsey. We've had a lot of pretty good American forwards coming through in these past couple of years. I think it's been a spot we've never really had to worry about in the older generation. So it was just more of a curiosity question more than it was anything.
I think that falls in line with a young team trying to find their place with a lot of question marks. I like what's happening right now. Nope. Never mind.
Yeah. Little scrum in the box, folks. No USA goal though.
Yeah, no. I think that obviously we had our first real test with the World Cup with this side. This is
minus Balogun, but yeah,
minus Flo, which should ultimately help a lot with what we're lacking in the scoring department. And it's not like he's come out and laid a goose egg every day that he's suited up for the U.S. I guess made an impact. It's just,
has he?
It's in the games that he's played. Yeah. Aside from today, he's been bright. He's making those dangerous runs into the box, and obviously it's a little bit of a timing, it's a little bit of a pressure situation with that ball in from Way in the first half. But he's making the right moves and he's getting in the right areas. I think it's just chemistry, playing in those bigger matches that mean more, and the team as a whole trying to find their identity. Even though they've been together for a long time, a lot of these guys have grown up playing the game together. This is the big time now. They just went through their first World Cup cycle as a starting group, and I think give it a year, get to the Copa America, make those necessary changes over the next 8 months. And then we'll start to get critical of players like Flo.
That's fair.
Or players like Weah, or
obviously we can be critical about Weah. Weah's been here for a while. We can be critical about any Balogun. That was more of just a snap assessment of his first couple of games.
CONCACAF games aren't easy to adjust to either.
No,
he's
had
4 of them. I think he'll totally come good. We just need to give him time. I also think it's a way, Greg plays him. Yeah. I think at times, today especially, he's felt kind of disjointed from the front three, where it feels like he's kind of playing his own positions, not really interacting with the other players. I think that's a problem Greg needs to fix. It's probably why he was left frustrated after the last international break. Supposedly going home to France a little upset. I think part of this is on Greg, too. We had one of the best young forwards, not in the world, but best young forwards in English game, I guess, choose us as a country to play soccer for.
A promising young forward picked us.
Yeah, promising young forward's a good way to put it. But he picked us, and that's on Greg now to make him good. It's not all on him. So
it is definitely on Greg to get the best out of him. I'll completely agree with you guys there.
Yeah. So I think we'll give him plenty of time. I think Copa America, like Mitch said, is a good time to judge this group as a whole, including Berhalter. I think that's where a lot of these decisions are probably going to be made. But yeah,
if I looked at you today and I said, what's the floor that this team has for the Copa America? What's the minimum they need to achieve going into next year with this group for you to be satisfied? What are the thoughts?
I would either say make it to the semis or win the semis.
Make it to the Copa America final.
What's the knockout look like? Does it go to 16 teams or
it's 16? It's 16-8 for.
I would say winning a knockout game would be important. I think we're talking big floors for this team.
Yeah, I think I want to give them more credit than they deserve.
I don't think we're good enough
to win it. How far do you think we'll get?
I'd say round of 16. I think round of 16 is a success. Round of 16 quarterfinal, about the same amount of success as I'd give us in the World Cup.
Sure.
Sorry, my neighbors just started playing music in the middle of the episode. I think it was. I heard music from somewhere, and it kind of threw off my train of thought.
How do you think I felt? I'm the only one with headphones on. I heard that from a mile away.
Anyway, sorry, folks. But yeah, quarterfinal. I think would be expected. I mean, I think a lot of these South American teams, these CONMEBOL teams, like we're not as good as a lot of those teams, man, and it shows. I think that a lot of those teams have an identity and
passion.
CONMEBOL is tough too. Yeah. CONMEBOL is one of the way more difficult leagues to play in at the international level.
Fuck.
I mean, you talk about teams that could beat us, Canada on their day.
Yep.
Mexico, Uruguay, Brazil, Argentina.
But
Colombia, Chile, Ecuador.
In the last 3 months, though, we have beaten those teams and we have looked good against those teams, but it wasn't under Greg.
Well,
I think it's really. Just to immediately segue to the Greg thing, I think U.S. soccer fans need to stop immediately wishing Greg to fail and to get sacked. And I dislike the guy, right? Here's my logic, I guess, my thinking with that. Clearly, this group of guys is bought in to Berhalter way. Mm-hmm. A lot of the players publicly support Berhalter, and he seems to have a general grasp on the group that we have ahead of us. I think the last thing we need to do is wish for him to fail, see him fail with like a year or two left to prep ahead of this next World Cup. And then need to adjust to a brand new system.
Yeah.
With like a year and a half to prep ahead of a World Cup. I think that feels far worse than letting Berhalter get a system in place that's going to work for 2026. Yeah, we're down 3-1 to Germany in the 85th minute right now. We all said it ourselves. The setup looked right at the start of the game, and it was more down to small individual errors, missing key players in guys like Adams. I think it's tough to sit here and say that somebody else, A, is better than Berhalter and available, and B, could immediately come in and really make an impact. I think if we were to fire Greg tomorrow and bring in a new guy, he would do as good as Berhalter does in the next World Cup.
I mean, we have our interim coach still on staff, and I don't know. It felt fresh. It's more not wishing that he was gone again. It's more I wish we didn't bring him back. Who
else was actually going to come in though?
I would follow with BJ. I would ride with BJ after what we saw out of him in those big moments, kind of right after we had the Greg Berhalter layoff.
The guy that failed to win the Gold Cup.
That's after three games. You know what I mean?
Right. Like the new guy's going to come in and he's still not going to get the same results. Like no matter what, I think
I'm not. I get what you're saying. And it's definitely hypothetical. But just if hypothetically we had 2 years under BJ instead of 3 games, like obviously it's going to look differently. But the tumultuous Balogun performances have come since Greg's came back. You know, we still haven't really had a resolution to the Reyna saga. So there's a lot.
That's never gonna get fixed.
I get that. You know, but like those are just things on my mind as indicators of drama that doesn't need to be taken to a Copa America Cup or the next World Cup. You know,
that's fair.
There's just a lot of just kinks in the system that just feel it's on everybody, obviously. Mm-hmm. It's more just wanting to see something fresh while there's still time before these big tournaments that we're going to be playing in.
I'm on the same page as Pat in that I don't think it's going to happen. I feel like the U.S. aren't looking for a volatile coaching situation where a new guy comes in. I stood up for Greg when the whole Reyna stuff happened. I'm not a Greg guy, just like tactically and everything.
I am actually. You've heard me on this podcast. I am a Greg. I don't think Berhalter is a great coach.
You're a Greg denier.
I just want to say that publicly again.
Yeah, Pat is firmly on one side. I don't know. I don't think he's the guy to take us, to the next level. And I think with this team in particular, a lot of young guys, you just have to have someone who can get the best out of them. And I don't know who that is
right now. It feels like it's Berhalter right now. They all like him. He has the locker room, and I think at the international level, tactics only get you so far, and a lot of it just comes from getting the best out of the guys you have on the pitch. And I think a lot of the guys want to play for Berhalter.
A lot of it's on. We have to start at some point. We'll have to look at the players too. Yeah. Because in a couple years after the Copa America, after the World Cup, you're going to look at guys like Pulisic are 30. Weston McKennie's probably going to be like 26, 27, 28.
I think he's 25 right now. He'll be 28 after.
At some point, we have to look at the players too, and they've played in Europe for long enough to they don't need him to be the ones leading them and stuff. So at some point, we're gonna have to turn and put our focus on that.
They got to start earning their minutes too. A player like Aronson, getting crucial minutes in Champions League games, that is such valuable experience in one of the biggest tournaments in the world. And he looks like a firecracker when he comes on for Union, but it's not 60 minutes of gameplay; it's 5 to 10. Mm-hmm. And obviously there's better options, but these guys have to go out and earn those.
Mm-hmm. I will say, I think the U.S. have exactly one superstar.
Christian.
Yeah, it's Pulisic. And he's been really good in Italy on a total side note. He's had a really good start. Really good start of life at AC Milan, which is really good to see.
To international football, too, it's such fine margins.
It is.
And it's the smallest little things that'll put you above or send you packing. And I think we're trying to find that right now. Yep. And it's a lot of tough decisions.
There have been flashes. I know there's zero question mark between the sticks.
Matt Turner is
the guy.
Matt Turner's that dude. He's been good for Nottingham this year as well.
Now that he's in a position to be a starting keeper in the Premier League regularly.
For a club that's going to stay up. For a club that'll finish within the top 13, 14 teams in the Prem.
I'm really happy he's made it out of Arsenal and not become the FA Cup keeper.
It's it's a good thing though that we don't have like Pat said, we have one superstar. It feels like not many roles in this team are cemented in terms of these guys are starters if we were to play in a World Cup final tomorrow.
I think the only guys that really have their place nailed on are Pulisic and Tyler Adams. I think outside of that, the team feels pretty
flexible.
Flexible. Balogun probably for a bit is going to be,
which is a good thing because it keeps the guys hungry.
Yeah, exactly. But outside of that, I think our whole midfield is pretty up for grabs.
Who's on form?
I actually think Yunus Musa might be the first name on my team sheet if I'm picking a team, but that's not here nor there. I think there's a lot of good that can come out of this U.S. team, and I think we have a lot of positive stuff to look forward to. But
not a great one today. But
I'm constantly the pessimist of the usmnt.
Was a great bit of skill from Aronson there.
We're gonna watch this free kick live before we end the episode. On a side note, you might get a quick reaction.
Aronson on the ball. Yeah,
Aronson on the ball. Here we go.
Won a great dribble, and then Rudiger fouled him.
Beautiful walks on him.
Beautiful head of lettuce.
I like his headband too. It's a little thin pink headband.
Aronson might low key be one of my favorite players on this team.
He's good.
I think he is. I think he is underrated.
All right,
not a great angle for a righty, but he'll have to really bend it in.
He's just gonna knuckle it over the wall.
I want to see this go top end so bad.
Yeah, if he scores here, you're gonna get a nice little audible.
Rudiger's giving him a good chat.
And that's an episode, folks.
Okay.
No goal. Yeah, that's
Video
talking,
definitely cut out.
talking to usmnt. There'll be a tile at the end of this video here if you're video only.
Okay.
Comment, like, share. Let us know what your thoughts are on this U.S. men's national team.
Officially ended 3-1. We are here watching the end of the game.
Yeah.
A lot to look forward to. A lot to work on.
Yurt.
We'll see you next week, guys.
Deuces.
Peace.